Hello fellow citizens, and welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, I'm Elfie, just a girly pop trying to figure out this Star Citizen thing. And today, I'm going to show you how I ended up on a beautiful hike after absolute disaster. So, let's get into it. We started off the day with a few friends who wanted to check out the new snake boss thing in the Onyx facilities. We made it to the bottom of the research wing to get to the elevator to go back up, and then we went down the hole in the floor to get down into Site B. And once we got to this platform that moves, there's a new area on the side here where you can jump down the rocks to get to the new snake boss. There's a tunnel at the bottom, and there's also some boxes that I found that you can loot, which was pretty cool. There were also a good amount of med boxes around, and I was able to get a lot of different med pens as well as refills for my med gun. The actual area itself where the snakes were was pretty cool. It was open and there were these 3 different ponds where they could spawn. We all spread out and we were ready to fight the snakes. My friends in a previous attempt learned that you pretty much had to shoot right down their throats as well as some weak spots that were glowing. When the snakes spawned, it became pretty obvious where those spots were, but I'll be honest, I was expecting a bigger snake of some sort. The second one spawned and started shooting a laser at us, which made it a little bit more challenging, but overall, it was pretty easy with 5 of us. The fight was pretty okay, and the music was really intense and nice, but this isn't something that I would really want to grind or do regularly. We were able to collect the tongues and eyes from both snakes for Wicklow, but Wicklow's also broken right now. So we all ran and crammed into the elevator like idiots, but thankfully none of us died or had any incidents. We had some more friends coming, and they wanted to do the snake, so we went back down and we did it again. So we had 2 snakes down, and we were pretty much pros at this point. With a group of 7 or 8, we wanted a little bit more of a challenge, so we went to go check out the Frontier Fighters mission that also just came out. I hadn't watched any videos about it prior to this, so I had no idea what we were going to do, but a few friends had some kind of idea. Before I knew it, I was in a turret on the Paladin, on my way to Hurston to go to an outpost to get some kind of data pad. And I thought that this view was pretty cool with the sun on the planet. We had to fly in pretty close to the ground because there were turrets that would shoot us down, but this was also a pretty cool view. I was ready to take down whatever was in our way. When we got real close, my friends needed me to take down any of the guys that I saw. However, as we learned from last time, I'm not good at Where's Waldo, so I couldn't shoot anything. I did eventually find a few guys, but these guns weren't good for it. So after realizing putting Elfie in the turret isn't the pro play, I got out and I was able to shoot some guys from the ground. This outpost was different from a lot of the ones that I've been to so far, and it was interesting with the vertical challenge of shooting these guys on the stairs. I made it to the top of the outpost, and it actually looked really pretty from up here seeing the mountains. There was no guys left, and we ended up finding the data pads, so we were ready to head out. But on my way down, I found this little iPad next to this guy. When they said datapad, this is what I was thinking of. Maybe it's my Zoomer brain, but my friends had something else. So I trusted them, left it, and headed back to the ship. We took off pretty quickly, but we started getting shot down pretty much immediately. It was at this point I lost all hope, and I thought that we were dead. We had no power to the ship, and all we could do was just fall to our death. Except we didn't die. We just kind of bounced. So I was able to get out of my chair, and this was an interesting moment when I realized the ship was upside down. It took me a moment, but I did figure out how to get myself unstuck by just pressing on all the buttons, and I was able to stand up. Trying to navigate around the ship was pretty weird. Everything was upside down, and I didn't know my way around the Paladin to begin with. So I found my friends, and they were more concerned that we had to get the data pad that was upstairs, but the stairs didn't really work because we were, upside down. I was more concerned about finding an exit while they were more concerned about the data pad and the mission. I thought I found this exit until I realized that this is just glass that I was standing on. Even though our friends were outside to rescue us, we still couldn't get up. We were pretty much just trapped in here and there was nothing we could do. Then one of us figured out that if you go into the cockpit and sit in the chair and stand up, you would actually end up getting out on the other floor. So Hauser and Lee were able to get their precious little data pad, and I was able to get the heck out of there. They put it onto our friend's ship to make sure that it was safe and sound, and we were ready to go. That is until our friend's ship immediately started getting shot on their way out. Rip to the data pad. So now, what do you do when 8 people are stuck on a planet with no ships? Someone kills themselves, and the rest of us climb to the other side of this mountain so that they can fly in and we can get rescued. But as we were climbing, I did eventually turn around and notice that there was some huge building in the distance. Do you guys need me, or can I dip?
Yeah, as long as you're okay with losing what's in your backpack, you can dip.
I'm gonna walk.
Are you going to that other site?
I'm gonna prove to you that it's really not that far.
She's also walking slowly. I guarantee.
Okay, I appreciate this. I appreciate it.
I'm not sure if you can tell by the tone of their voice, but they definitely think that I wouldn't make it here. I did believe that it wasn't that far though, and even though it said hostile territory, I did think that I could make it survive and find a hangar that I could call a ship on. And it might seem a little boring, but I did want to show you guys the mostly uncut version of this hike. Spoiler alert, I do make it to the distribution center, so if you want to just cut to the action, feel free to skip to the next chapter. But for me, the 2 series that I have of Exploring Stanton and Exploring Pyro aren't really about the action, the flying, the onyx, or really anything as far as missions go in this game. Everyone can accept contracts and fly around with their friends in this game, but how many people actually stop to look around, see the beauty of the game, and actually take a walk all the way to the distribution center? When I say that I want to explore everything in the verse, it's not just the facilities, the cities, the planets. I want to look at the different rocks and textures and all of the artwork that the devs have put into this game. New ships are cool and exploring new facilities is awesome, but I also want to see the different areas that the devs might have put into the game that no one's ever going to see. This was mostly just a short 3-kilometer walk, which wasn't too bad actually. It only took about 20 minutes total, and it was pretty cool to just walk around and see the sights. And what kind of made it feel a little bit better was about 2 seconds after getting rescued, they all blew up again, and they all ended up back at Everest Harbor. So I was the last woman standing on this planet officially. There was nowhere else for me to go except for forward. And something else that I also thought about doing was going back to Bloom and finding more places to hike that have more scenery than this. While this is pretty cool, it did start to look the same after a little while with all of the different rocks. And on a planet like Bloom, there is atmosphere and low enough temperature that humans can actually walk around without a spacesuit. So I was thinking of getting some cute little hiking gear, and that way I could get better footage of the hike. At some point, I did make it past the rocks, and I started to actually see the first tower in the distance, which was a good sign. I was gonna make it, and looking back, I was able to see that I was about 3 kilometers away. I don't think that anyone actually expected someone to walk up to the distribution center on foot, so I wasn't actually getting shot at and I didn't feel threatened in any way, shape, or form. Another thing I wanted to talk about was CitizenCon Direct. I actually did end up watching the whole thing, and I thought some of the new things that were coming out were pretty cool. I am really excited about the Genesis technology that they showed and all of the new planet textures that they were demonstrating. I think it could add a really cool element to this exploring series, especially if I want to explore more of nature. And I'm not sure if anyone's still listening right now or if everyone just skipped to the distribution center, but if you do like more slowed down versions of exploration like this hike, let me know, because it's something that I do all the time and I definitely want to share more of it if other people are interested. I have tried to find videos of other people going shopping or some exploration videos, but I haven't found too much, so if you have other creators that like to do the same thing, let me know, because I really am interested in seeing other people's perspectives of this part of the game. And with that said, I'm also looking for people to go exploring with, as well as people to show me different places that they find in the verse. So if you have somewhere that you want to show me, or if you want to go take a hike like this, feel free to reach out on Discord. There's a link to my org server down in the description, and we always hang out in there pretty much every night, so that's where you'll find me. And once I made it past this tower, I realized that I could put the camera into the other view and give you a better perspective of how this run actually looked. And fun fact, I didn't actually learn anything about video editing until I started this channel 3 months ago. I never really gave any thought into videography or audio when playing video games, so this is something that I'm actively trying to improve and work on while playing. Eventually, I'll get used to doing the different camera shots and giving you guys better footage for these videos. But at least I got half of the hike with this view for you guys, because it was pretty, even though there was a lot of smog in the air. And I really did like editing this and having the opportunity to have it get to know me. I'm the type of person that can talk for days though, so if you do want to see more of this content but without me yapping in the background, and maybe some peaceful music instead, I can also totally do that. And once I got close to the distribution center, the ground started glitching out on me. I was slightly concerned that I was going to fall into the earth, because maybe no one was supposed to be here actually jogging through the world instead of flying a ship in, but thankfully nothing too bad happened. And on my way in, I did notice some detached buildings to the left as well as some domes to the right. I wasn't sure if they were supposed to be a part of the distribution center, maybe some kind of watchtowers, or just visual only. I didn't take the time to jog over there though, because I wasn't 100% sure. I didn't want to waste my time, and I was really excited to see what was in the distribution center. And as I got closer, I did take my gun out, because even though nothing was actively shooting at me, including the tower that we passed by, I did think that it was going to get pretty interesting pretty soon. I don't exactly know what I was thinking either coming here, because I don't even want to do the Onyx facilities by myself. I'm kind of a little scaredy cat when it comes to this, and I feel like I'm okay at FPS games, but especially in Star Citizen, it's really hard without a second player, especially when little glitches happen or desync happens, and then you end up shooting a wall and they end up shooting you. I saw that there were a couple of different entrances, and it was much bigger in person than I thought. I decided to go up the closest ramp, and I didn't really have a map or an idea of how to get around this facility. I was just kind of raw dogging it, but I also didn't have time to take out a map or look it up online, because I kind of did want to explore organically and see what would happen. Maybe I could find the hangars and get out of here successfully and have some great content. Or I would die immediately and still have some content of the hike, but then you guys could laugh at me. I saw the first guy, and I wasn't really sure, but the second he pointed his gun at me, he was a goner. I knew I needed to move pretty quickly through the facilities because there was going to be a lot of guys. I was by myself, didn't know where I was, and I needed to get to the hangar. I did eventually find what was maybe a map and some different signs pointing me in different directions, but anytime I tried to get up to read it, I just got shot from a bunch of different directions, so I realized I had to find a way inside quickly. After hugging the wall for a little bit and fighting all of the guys in the middle, I did find a staircase, and my thought process was that if you go up, there may be a door that you can go down inside of the facility. There were a couple of guys up here that I had to take down, but it wasn't too bad. I was able to spot them before they spotted me, so it really worked out in my favor. I realized that I could also loot these guys similar to the Onyx, and I was able to pick up a second gun and ammo just in case. The laser gun is pretty good, but it can overheat, especially if you end up facing a couple of guys at once, so I wanted something as a backup just in case. I did eventually find a door, but it was suspiciously empty. I found this bike and thought maybe I could take it for a ride around the facility, but then some guys came up from behind. And I could also tell that there were quite a few shooting me in the back, and so I had to hide and heal myself. And then I realized that I was doing pretty bad with the med pen and I didn't have any refills on me. I was able to thankfully pick them off one at a time as they peaked, but I was going to need a lot more med pens. I have been getting smarter about the PvE in this game though, and I took my time. I was able to loot a bunch of med pens and I was good. It was time to get on the bike. As soon as I got on, I saw this guy running, but his movement was really weird and the grenade was also kind of weird because I've never seen an AI do that. But I didn't get the vibe that this was an actual player. So once he was down, it was truly time to go on my bike. I've never actually gotten the opportunity to ride a hover motorcycle or whatever you want to call this, so I wasn't expecting that it was going to be as fast as it was. It kind of took me by surprise, so I gathered my bearings and we were okay. Until we weren't. And then there was a whole bunch of shooting that started, and so it was time to get out of there and ditch the bike. I ran down through these tunnels, but I also realized that it started to mess with my body temperature in certain areas, so I really needed to get back up top. Even though I found a ladder and I was able to start picking off these guys one by one, it was still kind of difficult to get around these facilities, and I still had absolutely no idea what direction I was even trying to go to find a hangar. I found a lot of different staircases and hallways, but I was pretty lost and there was no signage to tell me where to go. They had some signs for stairs or security, but I didn't see anything as far as hangars go, and I was starting to think that maybe I went into the wrong entrance or I just kind of started off on the wrong foot with these guys. Eventually, I did find some signs that said exit, but I think that this was just to the outside, and I don't think that I got any close to finding the hangars. I took my time checking my corners trying to fight these guys, but I made the classic mistake that I always make. I started to loot and let my guard down just for a few seconds, and I started getting shot. When I tried to push to make sure that there were no more, there was one on my side, one on my front, and I was overrun. And with no friends around like the Onyx facilities, there was only one option, which was to hit backspace, bringing my adventure to the distribution center alone to an end. If you like videos like this where you can see Star Citizen from the new player's perspective, be sure to like and subscribe to support the channel. I post new videos twice a week, and I hope to see you next time. Until then, Elfie out.